Welcome to the Camilla Tominey Show. Now we start with some breaking news. The Epping migrant who was released in error from HMP Chelmsford on Friday has been arrested. Hadush Kebatu was arrested by Met police officers in the Finsbury Park area of North London at around 8:30 a.m. That's around an hour ago this morning. Commander James Conway, who was overseeing the operation to find Kebatu, said this: "This has been a diligent and fast-paced investigation led by specialist officers from the Metropolitan Police, supported by Essex Police and the British Transport Police. Information from the public led to officers into Finsbury Park this morning, and following a research, they located Mr. Kebatu. He was detained by police but will be returned to the custody of the prison service. I'm extremely grateful," he says, "to the public for their support following our appeal, which assisted in locating Mr. Kebatu." Now, GB News national reporter Will Godley joined us now live from New Scotland Yard in London. Will, what's the latest?
Well, Chris, James Conway, the commander there at the Met Police, who gave that update that Hadush Kebatu has been arrested this morning, was the one who gave the appeal to the public to help officers in their inquiry yesterday, appearing on GB News and other channels as well, appealing for not only Kebatu to hand himself in, but any members of the public who might have seen him to get in touch with them by calling 999. And it seems in this statement, he thanked members of the public who alerted the police to his presence in Finsbury Park this morning. That led to Kebatu's arrest there. Finsbury Park, of course, some 2.5 miles away from Dalston in Hackney, where Kebatu was last seen on Friday evening, just before 8 o'clock. He was seen there in his prison tracksuit, a grey tracksuit and an avocado tote bag. He must have, we understand, over the last 36 hours since he was seen there, travelled then to Finsbury Park. Whether he was staying there or not, we don't know, but it's been very cold these last 2 nights in London, so you would have thought he would have been staying somewhere to keep warm. The police said yesterday, James Conway said, they believed he had access to funds. They also said that they had followed him on CCTV, taking a number of different train journeys throughout London. Of course, he boarded a train at 12:42 in Chelmsford after being released in error on Friday, and he got off it at 12 minutes past 1 in Stratford. Those 5 hours between getting off the train in Stratford and being seen in Dalston, we're not sure what he was up to, presumably travelling there, getting a tote bag and maybe doing some inquiries. We saw him at a library, potentially looking on computers, on the internet, maybe to see where he could get accommodation, look and see what he was supposed to do, because we heard from an eyewitness who's been speaking to reporters, who was outside the prison when Kebatu was released on Friday morning, who described him as being very confused. He said that he saw Mr. Kebatu try to get back into the prison 4 or 5 times, saying he was meant to be deported, not released, but prison officers said, no, you're released, and they directed him to the train station. Well, now, 45 hours after this manhunt from British Transport Police, Essex Police and the Met Police, he has been arrested in Finsbury Park in North London. And James Conway, the commander overseeing this operation, thanked members of the public who led the police to Finsbury Park and led the police to arresting and detaining Hadush Kebatu. They said they're going to be returning him to the custody of the prison service. Of course, they're the ones who wrongly released him in error. Someone in the prison service has been removed from duties, as we understand that they released Hadush Kebatu on licence, as opposed to handing him over to Home Office deportation officers, who would have then taken him to the airport to get on a flight to go back to Ethiopia. But David Lammy has launched a full independent investigation to establish exactly how he was even on the streets in the first place. Of course, serving 12 months in HMP Chelmsford after sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a woman in Epping just 9 days after arriving here in the UK on small boats. So this news this morning that just over an hour ago he has been detained by police officers, back in police custody, and will be in prison very, very shortly, will come as a great relief to members of the public to know that he is back behind bars, Chris.
That's right, Will Godley. A huge relief. Do we know anything yet about the story? Where was he? Who called the police? Did they detain him? Were the public involved in trying to make sure, watching where he went? Do you know anything further? What happened in Finsbury Park this morning?
So far, all we're hearing from the police is that they've thanked members of the public who alerted them to Kebatu's presence in the area. Of course, the police gave an appeal yesterday to ask anyone with any help, and this has been a very high-profile case. Of course, top story on every newspaper, on every television news channel, on radio shows as well. Very hard for members of the public to miss the fact that this man is on the loose, and CCTV photographs and images of him will have been there. So we understand that someone who must have seen him in Finsbury Park this morning alerted the police, phoned 999, telling him they think they've seen him there. Of course, we don't know where he would have been staying, but outside Finsbury Park station, there's a huge number of tents of homeless people who stay in Finsbury Park outside the station. It's known for having lots of people who don't have any fixed abodes staying there, despite the fact it's very, very cold this morning and has been overnight. We don't know where Kebatu would have been staying or if he was indeed out on the streets, but someone, according to the police, this statement this morning, has alerted them to his presence there, and that's what led them to arresting him at 8:30 this morning.
Will Godley, thank you so much. Now, I think we can now go to a retired Scotland Yard detective, Hamish Brown, who joins me with this breaking news. Hamish Brown, this is a huge relief for the police and the prison service. It's been deeply embarrassing this man was ever allowed to be released.
Yes, and can I add just one more to your list? And I think that's the victim and the victim's family. And this will be very concerning that this person was at large. I personally think they were perfectly safe, and I hope the police have been in contact with them to say, look, you'll be okay, but if you need an alarm, if you need a call, just do that. So, yeah, the person's been found. I'm a little surprised it wasn't even quicker, but well done for members of the public who ran in, and well done for the media, actually, for the coverage, which caused this to be solved pretty quickly. But to come to your question, yes, I mean, it's a huge embarrassment. The Prison Officers Association, I don't speak for them, but I'm surprised we haven't heard from them, because they may well be quick to say, yeah, they'll defend their member, but they will also say we're under enormous pressure. And this isn't the first time it's happened. Apparently, a couple hundred have gone in the last year, have been released by mistake. And it's the pressures on the system. Is it untrained staff? The retention rate in the prison service is awful. So you're not keeping good, experienced officers. And that's when mistakes happen. So, a lot of thinking to do. But this just shouldn't have happened. And even when he was being released, he was sort of saying, look, you've got to send me to some detention centre or something. Well, and they were sort of almost forcing him on a train, you know.
Yes,
so there's a complete lack of communication.
It does seem that way, and according to the eyewitness quoted yesterday, he was asking, what shall I do? I don't want to go. Where am I going next? For about an hour outside the prison, and then was told to go to the station, which he did. I mean, it just seems completely bizarre what happened here. Now, what we know so far from the police is information from the public led officers to Finsbury Park following a search. They located Mr. Kebatu. As a senior former policeman, what do you think happened here? We're trying to get more of the information about how this happened. Of course, he was detained by police and now has been returned to the custody of the police service. What may have happened here? The public, of course, are very vigilant. Nowadays in social media, this individual's face is all over the people's mobile phones and the like. I guess the public were a key part of this.
Well, yes, the public are absolutely essential, actually. So, again, well done to the member of the public, and I reiterate to the media as well. But what will happen next is I think the police will be very happy to just get a van and take him back up to Chelmsford prison. Technically, it should be the prison pick him up, but I think the sooner he's back there, the quicker. So we're back to square one. I doubt he will face any prosecution himself, that this was a mistake on behalf of the prison service. He didn't escape as such. If people were harbouring him, however, and they knew he was in effect an escapee, although that might seem a little harsh description, they'll be in some trouble themselves, I can assure you of that. But he had to put his head down somewhere. I mean, the nights are drawing in, it's getting very cold and wet, so he had to go somewhere. So people are looking after him. They've got some answering to do. But the essential thing is to get him back to square one. He's going to be deported soon. Good. And then we can all move in. I don't like this lessons learnt type of thing, but this is going to be a dreadful shock to the prison service. And indeed, the public have to be appeased that dangerous criminals, particularly those convicted of sexual offences, aren't wrongly released from prison.
Yes.
That is utterly absurd.
Well, Hamish Brown, will come to the political fallout, and that will be great from this, let me tell you, through this programme. But just on the issue here of what's happening with the police, Commander James Conway, he thanked, didn't he, Essex Police, the Met Police, the British Transport Police. What have these officers been doing in the past 48 hours? What's been going on behind the scenes to get to the point when they can arrest this man?
Well, they'll be looking. Did he have any connections? It was interesting. He got off the train at Stratford. He didn't stay on the train to Liverpool Street, which would have been my guess, actually, because I was on an earlier programme on this channel. Said, well, the City of London police will be watching him from at Liverpool Street. That didn't materialise. So why Stratford? Did he have connections there? And the police would have been looking for that. He ended up in Dalston Way, not that far from Stratford, so that there was some sort of key there. So the police will be looking at that. They'll be looking at CCTV, possibly those informants, people like that. But at the end of the day, you can have all these fancy arrangements, but it's Joe Public that helps, and it is absolutely essential that the public remain vigilant. And when we look about all the crimes that have been solved, the majority of them is the public coming forward with suspicious behaviour and just being alert. So yes, the police would have been on their toes, but they will rely wholeheartedly on the public support.
I think it's a relief for everybody this man has been arrested, and all this coverage recently about people being spoken to about DEI or by tweets and the like. This is exactly what we think the police should be doing, which is tracking down someone who has been released wrongly from a jail in Essex. It's almost a reminder that we have got a great police force, but when they're directed to things which many people feel should be the priority.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. The police, not through the fault of the Bobby on the beat, I might add, but they seem to have lost their way a little bit and been drawn onto things which have both irritated the public they are dealing with, and both irritated the public they are not dealing with. Antisocial behaviour, shoplifting, those things that really get to people. Things down your high street, things down your town, and it looks like that the police haven't been concentrating on that. When's the last time anyone saw a Bobby on the beat? And in fact, I live in a small little town in Sussex, and there were two police officers suddenly appeared, and people were taking pictures of them. Can you believe that? Because this was just such a rare event.
I know.
And everyone, including myself, was saying how lovely to see you here. They might have been there for another matter, admittedly, but I'm sure the police appreciate this, but you must prioritise what is important, and the confidence of the public, as shown here, incidentally, as demonstrated here, is absolutely essential. Get the public back on side. Let the public have confidence you're doing good work. And they are. I know someone's been wrongly released from prison, but the prisons are full, the Crown Courts, the magistrates' courts are full. So, I mean, the police are arresting people, they are investigating crime, but it's the PR which goes with it, and the public confidence, which I regret is pretty low at the moment, which is unfair on the hard-working
okay.
and all the boys and girls out there.